Good evening. After I got very emotional when I saw the video of our team, challenge team. Now I will tell you how you can make a living out of it. Here there are lots of young people, and from my experience I will tell you what I've done in this field. I work in IBM. I am a member of the security team. I joined the company, or I started working when I was 22 years of age. I started like they did. I started to do programming when I was 13 or 14 years of age. I also started with CFTs, the same as they did. And then I will tell you how we set up Mundo Hacker and how this kind of entertainment or leisure could end up being a way of life. It is not a question of, well, it's the same as video gamers who became YouTubers. They are living or making a living out of a thing that they feel passion for. And this is my case. So this is my website, my Twitter address, just in case you want to contact me. I will be delighted. Okay, this is the start. I started programming when I was 13 years of age. I am 25 now. When I started, this is as much as we had. So 13 years ago, I had a black and white mobile phone and a Game Boy. So nowadays, my cousins, my nieces have an iPhone and they are not even 16 years of age. We can also take advantage of that. I started when I was 13 because I was given a computer as a gift to use the Messenger. But now we have many young people. In the past, even if you had a young talent, you couldn't do anything with them. You just needed them to wait for them to grow up. But now it is not the case anymore. We can do many things with young people. So 1 year later, I was talking with my friends through messengers, and I used to say, well, if I'm talking to my friends through Messenger, why cannot I go beyond that? It is not that I always wanted to make a difference, but I always wanted to do more. To me, Messenger was falling short, and I said, well, if I'm connected with my friend, why shouldn't I send him a image and communicate with them? And this is what I started to do. I started to do different things, and I said, okay, well, download this game. And then I was switching them on the web camera. That's the way of starting. And other than computer science, I started, well, here we have to talk about magic. I was a student at Tamarit Magic School. And at that time, computer science at that time was just let us say, it translated in a Game Boy. So for many years I was doing magic. Well, now I'm not doing as much magic because in life you have to find your priorities. And this is an example of what I told you before. Who here is aware of this Trojan, Sub 7? This was one of the Trojans that started to be used to go beyond, to take a step further. These are all the functionalities of the Trojans. Well, the idea was to see a person live, to have full access to the hard disk. And what happened? Those of you who raised your hand, you know what happens if you log on to any website to download this Trojan. This was the next thing that you got. At the end of the day, you were hacking yourself. And that's why my mom was had to buy several computers. Then I have to learn how to restart my computer. I went to Linux, because you know that when you end up in this world, or you start in this world, you end up hacking yourself because there are many online trumps. And then when I was 16, 17 years of age, I wanted to take a step further, because everything that I did was just a copy and paste from the internet. And I said, well, it is enough. I will try to learn to do something myself. And that's when I started to Google the web, to visit fora. And because at the time there were lots of content, well, now there is much more content out there. There are events such as this one. There are chats and communities, hacking communities. Not only, well, Mundo Hacker, that I will be mentioning before, that I will mention later on. So apparently there are 6 or 7 communities. Now there are very many different ways to learn. Nowadays, if you don't want to learn, it's just because you don't want to. This is Mundo Hacker, and I want to play a bit about it, and I'll tell you more about it.
Uno de los hackers más reconocidos de España y Sudamérica. A su lado, un equipo formado por profesores universitarios, autores de libros de seguridad y formadores de hackers éticos. Muestran los principales ciberataques que suceden actualmente alrededor del mundo y enseñan cómo prevenirlos. Ellos muestran cómo gobiernos e instituciones pueden espiarnos. Pueden comprometer casi cualquier infraestructura. Ellos ayudan a la policía a resolver ciberdelitos. Colaboran con ejércitos para entrenar cibersoldados. Ellos son hackers. Mundo Hacker. Esperadnos.
Vale, pues al final llevamos ya 10 años, ¿vale? Empezamos en 2006, como habéis visto.
So we started back in 26. We are 10 years old now. Well, we started being a group of freaks. We used to meet up on Fridays afternoon to do research. We started, in the beginning there were 5 of us, and each of us prepared a presentation, a meaningful presentation. It is not like, oh, I saw this and that on Google. No, we had to prepare a presentation to share it with the others, and also to give some materials for the other members of the team to try at home over the weekend. I'm not going to tell you what we gave for the other members of the team to try at home. And then, well, sometimes we ended up being a big group. We ended up being sometimes 20 people. So the idea was to contribute. So if you want to make it, you have to prepare a presentation. We will be here for 3 hours, and then if you contribute to the community, you can stay in the community. And also to share knowledge, to transfer knowledge. We had the radio show, the TV show. We wrote some books as well. And we did it because we liked it. In the end, we just didn't want to be on TV. We just didn't want to give presentations of this kind. So everyone was at the disco nightclub at 15 years of age, and I just wanted to be a hacker. And then they called us from the radio, then they called us from the TV, and then they gave us a show. And now, thinking about the labor world and the future, what says here on top? This is the Mr. Robo series. I'm sure that many of you have watched it. And many people say, well, no, it doesn't really matter the way how you look like. Your appearance is not important. People should love me for what I am. But no, well, I am kind of half of agree. So here we see different ages on the screen, this person wearing shirts, and I'm mentioning this with regard to the labor work. Well, of course, appearance is not important because the value is inside, but the first impression is very important. It is good to have knowledge inside, but you really need to know how to sell yourself, and you really need to have a good appearance. And people may go and say, yeah, what matters is what is inside. Yes, I know, but this is a tip that I give you. Do not neglect your appearance. In terms of making a living out of it, I decided to use this photograph, Michael Jordan, and I am also a basketball coach. And he said, I failed 9,000 throws in my career. I lost 300 games 26 times. I missed a throw and we lost the game. He said, I failed over and over again in my life, and that's what have brought me success. It is good to have a motivation, to be consistent, to persevere, but you also have to be sensible. You have to set out yourself objectives. A typical question you are asked when you go to a job interview: what do you expect to become? What do you want to be in 10 years' time? How do you picture yourself in 10 years' time? Do not think about 10 years' time. Perhaps it is too far away in time, but think about 5 years' time. But it is good, as I say, to stop and to set out objectives. This is not a mistake. This photograph is not a mistake. What it says is not a mistake, okay? So sometimes in life, everyone wants to be Michael Jordan. All of them there are very good, but Michael Jordan is the one that will stand out. Many times I've recommended you be one of those wearing this suit. Surely we will not remember this man after the presentation, but I will pay for be one of those men wearing suit there. So these are people who have been there, who have been learning. There are moments at time in life where you cannot be Michael Jordan, but you are just around. So wanting to grow very fast is not that good. You really need to learn slowly. You really need to take your time. This is like CTFs. When I used to do CTFs, if you do not make it your own, it is not good. I know there is a back door. You do it in a way, but you really need to learn how to do it. I knew that I could do it, but I did not learn it. I do not learn it truly. So you have to look for the bottom of things. It is not a question of knowing a bit about everything. You really need to have a deep, well-settled knowledge. And now, difficult decisions. Well, this is an anecdote that I want to share with you. I prefer to be the head of a mouse than the tail of a lion. And I give you an example of cars. For instance, you can buy a low-rank car and then to add extra features, or you can buy a higher-rank car with no extra features. What happens? At the end of the day, you have a big world, but when you interact with people driving fast cars also, they will notice that your car doesn't have any features. And then when you buy a low-rank car and then you add all the extra features, by the time you will meet with other drivers with low-rank cars, you will succeed. And then, well, I'm saying this because in life we all have to make decisions. I joined the labor world only 4 years ago. Well, when it comes to deciding what you want to become, those of us who are IT engineers, we all want to be slightly different and special. And I support that. I strongly believe in that. Let us make a difference. You want to make a difference. Well, you want to be a lion, but at the end of the day, you end up being a mouse. So make your own interpretation out of it. But at the end of the day, if you want to be very good at something, and you will notice that as you learn new things. For instance, if you want to know a lot about cars, then you're going to say, okay, today I know nothing about cars. I don't mind going into the world without knowing anything now. At the end, you know a lot, and then you want to be a lion, but you realize that the more you know, the more you learn, the more you realize that you don't know. So the same goes for hacking. So I'm going to specialize myself in attacks XSS. Then when you master that, there is another knowledge waiting for you. So in the beginning, learn from the others. Learn from the others. When you join a company, you will be the last ones. You will be the new ones. Then there will come a time that you will be in the position to transfer knowledge to the others. So it's not only a question of learning and learning. There comes a time that you also pass on that knowledge. So that was me between 18 and 20 years of age. I went to university. At the end of the day, having a university degree or a degree doesn't really matter whether it is university or not, or a diploma. When you go to a job interview, the first thing that I will take a look at is whether you have a degree or not, or a diploma. For instance, in IBM, there are many engineers, but they just want a university degree. That means that you commit to something, you start something, you finish something, you have completed something. So that means that you've been responsible for over 4 years. Okay, you know that when you go to university, if you are not responsible, you will not graduate. At the end of my degree, I noticed that what I was studying, I very much liked. I changed my. When I was at university, I was very motivated. I just wanted to go to lessons. I just wanted to learn. And because I was so motivated, I was a very good student. I set up companies because I was liking what I was studying. I mentioned that to a person that I met before I came here. I'll tell you about my job interview. I went there were 8 of us, and they gave us a case that we had to resolve, a user case. They asked me not to disclose it. Okay, I cannot tell you. But you have this amount of money, you can do this and that, and you have to make a decision. Which decision did you take, A, B, or C? The 8 of us had to agree with each other. I sat down. I was 22 years of age. I was just graduated. And 22 years of age, IBM. You know that there are people, seasoned professionals. And that was for an internship. With me, we had people with 2 degrees, bilinguals, trilinguals. One of the ladies spoke Russian. I told her words in Russian. She thought I could speak in Russian, but I could not speak Russian. And then we did some group dynamics. And in this user case, and that man, there was a man who had a degree in computer science and then in mathematics. Everyone was wearing a suit. At that time, I didn't have a suit. I was wearing more casual clothing. And then we engaged into a debate, into a discussion. It was good discussion, polite discussion, because there were 3 people from the human resources watching us. And then they interviewed many people because the position was very good, was for cloud computing. They hired 2 of us, another person and myself. When I joined IBM, I went to human resources department and I asked the 3 people from the human resources who were in that group what they were expecting, what they were looking for in the people. So they told me that there had been some disagreement in the group dynamics. Well, in the end, we didn't reach an agreement in the group. This is the worst thing that may happen to you in a job interview. Anyway, they told me, well, we didn't care about the result. We didn't mind what you did with the money, who you chose. We just wanted to see whether you listened to the others, whether you let the others speak. Some people are just thinking about what they're going to say next, and they did not listen to the others. In the end, they were finding value in the person. Of course, my degree helped me. That was just a good starting point. Okay, they could tell from my degree that I had a number of attributes of capacity, and then they hired the 2 of us, just ordinary people like myself. And then when I finished, I was about to finish university before I followed the job interview. I did the job interview. So I wasn't told this. I would have liked someone to tell me that when you are at university, you have time. When you have time, when you finish university, well, you just don't have so much time. I worked a lot on my dissertation. It was under technology, radio frequency. We contacted with Samsung. They gave us 50 phones. We went to Samsung to report back. So that passion was what took us here, or that took us where we got to. And then, as I say, at university you have time, and this is what helps you grow as a person, which is very important. Between 20 and 25 years of age, I joined IBM as an intern in cloud computing. I was very much fond of security, but I said, okay, I'd rather join IBM even if I will be doing cloud computing. And then we have the time that we have, and then it's a question of transforming that time into value. Later on, I will tell you how I write my CV. And in the job interview, they did not only assess the type of person that you are, but they also assess other things that you do. This lady, the human resources person, told me that they very much liked that I was also a basketball coach, because that also means things about yourself. And they are looking for people with curiosity. Before I joined IBM, and I said, okay, I'm going to write my CV. I started to write my CV. First thing I did was to write down my name, then my university degree, and I said, well, and what else? In any templates that you may download is job experience, certification, further training. And I said, what can I do? And I said, job experience. I didn't even write down the field. And then I wrote down everything that I did on top, CTF, international competition. Then I just took part in a NASA competition. And so if I were these members of the team who were here before, I would just highlight in the CV that they want a challenge. All that I showed it in big letters, and then the interviewer says, oh, NASA, this and that, okay, I will take a closer look at it. And then, well, hopefully they didn't mind that I did not have a paragraph with job experience. And this I would have known to know this before I joined the company. When you join the company, you have a boss, and that boss is just a person like you and me. When I joined the company, I thought that the boss was just the entity that you had to flatter. And no, the boss is an ordinary person, has a family like you, had his lunch, his coffee. And what happens with that? That is good and bad. Well, is good or bad? Well, he wants to make a living out of it. And having a boss that cares for you, that helps you want to grow. Well, you can have two types of bosses. One with interest to help you develop yourself, and those who are not interested in that. And as I say, I had very many bosses in IBM. As far as I know, I had 5 different bosses. I finished my interns after 6 months, and then they interviewed me on TV, and then on IBM they gave me a fixed contract. Getting a fixed contract in a large multinational company as well as in other companies is not easy. There are lots of temporary jobs. And then when I was 24 years of age, I signed a fixed contract. I was offered a fixed contract after 1 year of experience. And why is it that? Well, because there was a boss there who took care of me, that boss, he fought hard for me. He called Europe so that they approved or they opened up my position. So this position costs the company lots of money. That means that my colleagues are 35 years of age. Some of them are 35 years of age. When I joined the company, I was the youngest, and I said, well, the same as they are. I was 23, and next to me was a man, 35 years of age, 40 years of age, and the daughters were older than me. And at the end of the day, you are just one more of them, because that boss made an effort so that I could feel like that. I could feel like one more employee. So rather than looking for a super company or super position, look for a boss that takes care of you. So I found many SMAs run by a person who quit company and decided to set up a small company. So you learn a lot in big companies, just in case in the future you open up your SME. This is Mundo Hacker, and then the video that I showed you 2006 when we started with our radio programs. Okay, this is a video of it.
Que por cierto, no sé si os habéis fijado cuando voy a dar charlas de
Well, I don't know whether you've noticed when I give a talk, they go and say, oh, this is a hacker, so I never wear a t-shirt. I said, you don't look like a hacker. Well, but the thing is that when I was small, I went to school where I had to dress like this, and then I kept it. So everything that I do now, this shows on the screen. If you have a curiosity, if you like what you do, things can run very well for you. Well, we all have our own definition of success. What do I do now? Well, other than working at IBM, iOS and Android applications, I develop them out of fun and hackable. You have to encrypt the code. You may want to try it, and then tapa to come. And I said, well, everyone is covering the web camera, and now I am selling covers for the webcam. I do it because I like it. I like doing it. I continue to be a basketball coach. I've been training basketball players for 8 years now as a high level, top level. And then Kitopo. We sell those cases that are waterproof for you to make video, and we also have an umbrella that opens the other way round. So all these things, I do it with a different partner, with a different friend. Feathers, this is did it with some school friends. They knew nothing about IT, and I decided to develop it for them. So then these feathers, these Tabatukam. So you can set up an e-commerce website at the weekends. That's what I'm doing now. I'm helping lots of people for it. If you like it, if you like to do it, you develop an e-commerce site for your friends, and then your friends help you or offer you to join the company. And as I say, I'm always busy, but I'm always very happy. Here we have caHe water. This is an example of not success. Everyone talks about what has been, everything that has succeeded. So it is like targeting or arching. So, well, not everything is wonderful and perfect. At the end of the day, we are 20 years of age, you set up a business, and sometimes there is significant tension. caHe water, we created it, then we had to dissolve it, but it didn't work out. It didn't work out. So all these things make you interact with very many different people. So people from Feathers and the people from Kitopo, well, they are different people, we are in different worlds, and these things happen. So it is not a problem at the end of the day if you do not succeed. And well, caHe water, the company was there for 6 months. We also wanted to have the waterproof devices, and was not being successful, and then we decided to stop. And I proposed, I suggested that we should stop and say, well, we cannot really reach an agreement. Okay, it's better if we close down the company, if we shut it down. We just shut it in the best possible manner, and that was it. So at the end of the day, all this is very good when you are 20 years of age and you live at home with your parents. But when you grow up, I don't have a family, I'm not fully independent, but when you do all that, all these things have to have a meaning to them, because some people say, I've been working on an exploit for 10 years. Well, at the end of the day, that person will be 80 years of age and continue working on his exploits. What is the objective? What do you get out of it? What do you get out of it? Perhaps it is not money, but it could be reputation, image, etc. So I just don't want you just to become entrepreneurs without doing it for a meaningful reason, for a purpose. What about the clothing brand? Now I go to fashion events, and then I also get money out of it. Well, if a business is not a profitable business, well, it is just it will just fail. So this is all from me. I hope that you liked it, and I'm here to take any questions that you may have.